Welcome to the Mounting Block. I'm Oriel.
And I'm Marissa.
We're here talking horses, life, business and motherhood.
And how to hold it all together without completely losing the plot.
Expect honest chats, real stories and plenty of laughs.
Plus a few hot takes and unfiltered opinions. Let's get a leg over and get into it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mounting Block.
Yes, so we have had a split in the episode from last week.
We did.
Because it was such an amazing long chat with Robin. We thought we might break it up into two parts.
Yeah.
So we're going to lead into the second part of the chat shortly. Yep. However, in the meantime, we're just going to do a quick little horsey part.
We are, and this is a very, very important day.
It is a very important day because I finally have news. The little one I went to see on the weekend in Country Narrabri is going to be mine.
Yay! We're going to have two grey horses in the paddock.
We are going to have two grey horses. Interestingly, I've seen photos of her as a foal and she was a Palomino.
Wow.
And so she's sort of like a pale Palomino turning grey now, which I think she's just nearly 7. So fully grown, but it'll be interesting to watch her evolve. But her head is very, very white. Yeah. Very white. So
she's beautiful.
She's very cute.
Chunky little monkey. She's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, so she is 75% gypsy cob. So for those who don't know horses particularly well, Clydesdales are the big ones that do the carriage pulling with the big fluffy feathered feet, and gypsy cobs were bred to be smaller versions of them, and they were bred to, in the UK, I believe, to keep going with these carriages but be safe for families and a calmer temperament. So she's 75% gypsy cob and I think 25% Arab. So the Arab brings a bit more athleticism to her. So she's not a complete clomper, but she's pretty clompy. She's pretty clompy.
She's chunky.
But her feathers, then it means that there's a little bit less maintenance on them because they're not as feathery. They're just a little bit feathery.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a new learning curve. We've got to make sure that there's not mites and bugs that get in the feathers.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I know.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I have paid part of it. I'm organised transport. And so she should be with us late next week. And hopefully she goes all okay on the journey up.
We should put a picture of her on our socials.
We should definitely put a picture of her on our socials.
And what's her name?
Well, that's up for discussion. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see. I'm not going to commit the name yet.
Okay.
I've got some ideas.
And we should actually take this moment to apologise to our listeners because you're like, why? Because there's going to be no more dating stories. No more semi-nude men in the podcast.
More. That is correct. That is correct. No more wild tales of Marissa going bush bashing and country and off-road.
Bucked around on random horses.
Oh, I know. And the good thing is I did get to meet her twice because we stayed down there in a motel for the night. I was able to see her on one day, and then the next day we actually asked them to bring her into the showgrounds to see her in a different environment. So I really feel like we've tested her to, all the options. I mean, she's still a horse, so there'll still be things I'm going to learn, and I'm nervous.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm all the feelings, but
I'm nervous and excited too.
Yes, I know. And I just, I think with confidence and all that sort of stuff, which I've been doing some soul searching the last couple of days deeply on myself, I think what I've come to realise is I have had essentially 5 months off riding horses.
Yes, you have.
And I've been going out into weird situations and riding all sorts of horses, which have rocked my skill set and made me think, oh, gosh, I can't ride this horse, or I don't have the confidence to do that. And there's been some gnarly moments like the bucking, or the one that didn't want to trot, just went from walk to canter constantly. So there's been a few things that have really thrown me around in my confidence. And I think where I'm at now is I can't expect to pick back up where I was. I just need to rebuild, and I'm really conscious of that. I'm going to do that really, really slowly so that I don't push myself and then I just freak out and just go, I can't do this, you know? So, well, you'll all be along for the ride, because we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
And you have got a wonderful team around you.
I do. I have so much support. Yeah. You yourself included.
Yes, I'm chief cheerleader. Cheerleader.
Yes.
And then we have, of course, the fabulous Will.
Yes. I told Will today about the thing, and he showed him some photos and videos. He's very excited.
Yeah.
I said I'd like him to get on her too and figure out her buttons a bit. Yeah. So he's keen on that. And obviously there's so many people at Pony Club and all the coaches and just so many amazing people in our corner. So I feel like, that can be tricky. There's lots of opinions as well. So ultimately, you figure out this relationship with your horse and you figure out a way that works for you as well. But it's very exciting. And the family I'm buying her off have owned her since she was a foal. So it's a nice story, only having had one owner. And I think that's really important and good to know. So yes, we will definitely send updates and see how it goes.
Yes, and we'll put a pic of the beautiful girl.
We'll put a pic up
on our socials.
Yes, the little unicorn.
Yep.
Yes.
We're hearing about how she fits into the paddock. There'll be three. New herd dynamic. Yeah.
Yes, 2 mares and 1 gelding. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see. And then today we went down to Pony Club and you did, we're following Oriel's journey of jumping, jumping journey.
My jumping journey, which we shouldn't call jumping yet because it's not really jumping, it's sort of popping.
Popping. Stepping. Oh, no, he jumped a few things.
He did jump.
He definitely jumped a few things.
Yes. Well, you put up a little mini jump course.
I did. How kind of me.
How kind of you. How kind of you. You did look at me and say, shall I put up these cross rails? And I said, yes, cross rails, nothing higher.
Nothing more.
Yeah. And so my first ever jump course, it was, I don't know, 6 jumps or something?
Yeah,
something
6
like
jumps.
that. The first time I've ever done it, and it was fine the first time because he was nice and sort of, okay, just getting around.
Yeah.
And then he went, oh, this is my job. I like to do this. I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And then he started getting a little bit faster and a little bit stronger and all of those things that he's been taught to be.
Yes.
That I'm sort of trying to roll back a little bit so he's not quite as full on. And so we had, it was...
It was 99% great. There was a 1% of you having a little freak moment, but the rest of it was excellent. Yeah. So remember the 99%.
Yeah, but you were great. You did say, no, go and do that. Go and do one more jump again because I want you to finish on a high.
Yeah. And it was only
look at your face.
That's right. It was only because I looked at your face and you just looked a bit devastated. And I thought, I just don't want – because you're going to go into a little mini comp coming up. And while the comp placing isn't important to you, certainly, giving it a go and feeling confident is. Yeah. And I saw your face and I thought, no, I don't want that in your head as you lead up, and you can do this again. You can just do it slower.
Yeah.
And, and you did.
Yep. And then we walked around a little cross-country course, did a little bit of trotting. And I did three cross-country jumps. And again, putting this into context, these jumps are 30 centimetres?
Yeah, big logs.
Big logs.
Big logs on the ground, yeah.
But we did them at a trot. Yeah. Anyway, very happy with today's experience.
Good. Except for the wash bay.
Except for the wash bay. Yes, he got a bit of a fright and tried to get away.
Well, he did get away.
He did end up getting away.
He got his halter off.
He did get his halter off.
Bless.
He's such a big boy. It's all just a bit whoa.
But he didn't run.
No. I didn't think he would.
No.
I didn't think
he just sort of went, I got to, I'm out of there.
No, where's Mummy?
Yeah.
Where's Mummy?
Yes.
And he put his head on my shoulder and was just blowing out,
relaxing.
Your mummy's here.
Oh, darling. Yeah, it was a bit gnarly for a moment there, but everything works out. As you said, there's never a dull moment with horses. You think you're cruising and then you're not.
You're not. No, you're not.
But all overall, 99% good.
Yes.
That's what we're saying about today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
let's bring in part 2 of Robin Bailey's chat, and we hope you enjoy the final part. So, moving on from parenting side of things to work, you have had so many barriers, right? With men in a very men-driven industry. Now, Oriel's been in the media and been in a very similar situation throughout your career. How do you guys push? How do you keep pushing those ceilings? I mean, even as recently as what happened last year, and these constant, is this my last breath? Is this it? We're always on this. But
we should tell our listeners what happened last year, because some of them might not know.
That's true.
Do you want to say your
sure.
words? Tell the
story. There was a lot of pressure within our company that there was Kyle and Jackie O, who was a big show out of Sydney, and that they were going to go national. They had signed this massive, ridiculous deal, and although it wasn't part of the deal that they go national, there was an inference that that's where the company could save money. The problem was that once the deal was signed, and I don't know the intricacies of the what was going on behind the scenes for the parent company I work for, but in the process, 500 people lost their jobs around the network. And our breakfast show, 7 people were part of that. And so it became clear it was hanging over our heads for about 6 months. No one would tell us what was going on. And then finally the axe fell and we kind of left. And it took them 15 days to ring us and say, we've made a mistake. We need to give you your jobs back.
15 days.
15 days.
It was just, and here's the thing, and I've written this in the book, and, there's a lot in my book about the misogyny of the industry I work in. One of the classic examples is when I was on B105. Jamie Dunn and Ian Skippen were the B105 morning crew, and it started off with Donna Lynch, and then it was me, and then it was Penny Cooper. There were 4 women that rotated through that door while those 2 men stayed. How come?
Yeah.
Why?
Because women were replaceable,
but men weren't.
And men weren't.
No.
And
they'd just fight. They'd carry on. They'd do their stomping of the feet and bashing of the tables in those days. And
but if I did that, then I'm too emotional.
100%.
And then you're aggressive.
You're
aggressive. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think that's changed yet. I think we're still fighting those fights as women. The moment you show any sort of level of emotion that might not be in agreement, I think there's still those barriers there.
It's interesting because, I was sacked twice from 97.3. The first time was because we were had been number one for 2 years, and I had a manager who I'd never had a manager before, and he said, no. He contacted me and said, I think we can get you some more money. And so the idea was that we'd go in high, they'd come in low, and we'd meet somewhere in the middle. Normal negotiation. Yeah. We went in high, they never counted, and I got sacked.
Oh my God.
Never counted. Never. Now, I was only explaining this to my co-host yesterday, and he goes, what do you mean? I said, I know, mate, because for you, that would never happen.
It never would have happened. Never.
And it's interesting watching, and, I say this from my own personal experience, but, with all the stuff that's happening at the moment, and the witches are a group of they're activist women who have gone after misogynistic men in the media. And they are very well organised, and they have done some quite extraordinary, and I say that in both a positive and negative tone, of galvanising advertisers to leave, media where what they perceive misogynistic men to be are. The thing I'll say about the witches, and I was trying to explain this again with my co-hosts, is decades and decades of misogyny where women have no voice. Finally, this group of women have got a voice and they're using it. But it's like the #MeToo movement. Sometimes that can feel like it's going too far, but I 100% understand and acknowledge that why they're doing it and what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's, you guys have to realize that the problem started with you.
Yeah. With you.
And like #MeToo with Epstein and Weinstein, they were at the top of the tree, but underneath them were layers and layers and layers and layers of other people behaving like that.
100%. Yeah.
So when the #MeToo and, one of my co-hosts said, but the problem is now that all men feel like they're guilty. And I went, well, again, the pendulum started here and it went over here. Yeah. And now we need it to come back to here. But it's actually you guys acknowledging why people like the witches exist for us to bring it back to a place where we're working together.
Yeah.
And that has not happened.
No, I totally agree with you.
Was it the witches that got you back on air? Is that what happened?
I don't know.
We think it was Brisbane, right? There was a lot of uproar.
Yeah, I think what happened was, like we were talking about local before, I think there was an idea. I think there's a chip that we wonderful Queenslanders have about you're not going to tell us down south how we're going to behave. I think there was a bit of that. I think that you can't take our breakfast show unless you ask us, and you didn't ask us.
So true.
I think there was a bit of that. I also know from behind the scenes that advertisers left in droves. I mean, dramatically.
Wow.
By, monthly hundreds of thousands of dollars and you know, we are a commercial enterprise if you don't have advertisers.
It's flattering though.
Yeah.
Flattering, right?
No, look, it's never happened before.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely pay homage. Again, this is like what I'm saying in terms of a guy, like management acknowledged it was the wrong thing to do. It was a mistake. I can't think of a time that's happened before.
I can't either.
Amen.
Yep.
Yes.
Guys, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Like acknowledging that sometimes you
Make
reverse a decision.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they did. And amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Did you think about at the time, am I going to say yes or no? Or were you just like, I love this job, I don't want it to stop?
Well, I flew to Brisbane. I flew to Sydney because I had to work with my editor to change the end of my book.
Yeah.
So this was
of
in
course.
November last year. So I had to change what was going to happen. So I'm with Kelly, my wonderful editor, Kelly Fagan, at her place in Double Bay or Rushcutters Bay, and I get a phone call, and it's from my kind of next boss, like not the Brisbane boss, but the Sydney boss. And I'm like, why are you ringing me? And he said, oh, you know, and he said, oh, look, we want to offer you your job back. And I probably not graciously, and in hindsight, I don't know. I was so pissed.
Yes.
I was so
though?
angry because I felt like this is the most abusive relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
You know, second time sacking, second time coming back. Yeah, it was the most abusive relationship I'd ever been in because I felt like, you know, they love you, they don't love you, they want you, they don't want you, and that may and also, and I guess this is I can kind of forgive myself for maintaining the rage. You know, 7 people lost their jobs, and Kip, Corey, and I came back, but there were 4 that didn't, and we had one that was able to reverse the decision and stay with us. So we had to start again, but it was just traumatic.
Yeah, and your relationships, are like, you know, your producers and the people who you work so closely with and you just hummed as a team, that's gone, right? And then you have to.
Yeah.
So to Oriel's question then, did you consider saying no?
No, it was interesting because I got off the phone. I just said to him, I said, just give me a minute. Give me a whole minute.
Yeah.
And Kelly was there, and she, you know, she lived this whole thing with me with the book. And it was interesting in the balance of the book, trying to keep the radio side versus the personal side, right? And, you know, there's interest in celebrity stories and things that I've done. So she was really well aware of just that, what that meant too. And she said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'd be an idiot because I've got a book coming out. Like, you know, my husband, Sean, who then later died of cancer, he had said to me, he was a radio guy, and he said, Rob, you always need a platform. And the biggest mistake anyone will make is if you don't have a platform, it doesn't matter. You don't exist. You're just like everyone else. So I think it didn't take me long. And Kel said, what do you want to do? And you know, everyone's like, oh, you can take them for this. And I'm like, well, actually, we can't, because the problem remains. The company was still really strapped for cash.
Yeah.
So
we have to rebuild with them.
We have to rebuild with them. I quote Steve-O, who's our new CEO, who was the one that made the decision, changed his mind. And he was ex-television, ex-Channel 9. And he just said, and I quote him the book because I met with him in Sydney at that time. And I said to him, can I quote you? And he said, like, yeah, because it was a no-brainer for him. And I'm like, yeah, but you still made the decision. But I think they, you know, and again, they were willing to go, oh, Brisbane doesn't, this is no good.
We made the wrong decision.
You know, but that's business too, right?
It is business, and business is brutal, and it's a difficult, I think it's always a difficult balance, that business/personal line, you know, where you go, well, it's not business, you know, it's not personal, it's business, and all of that sort of stuff. But we are all still people that have to exist, and we all still have emotions. We all still have our own thoughts and our own frame of references that we bring into situations. And if, you know, it just blurs. It just does.
But also, you employ us based on our personality.
Yes. Yes, you definitely. You
so it is personal.
Your personality. That's right.
Did you start out when you sort of finished school and decided, we're talking about what you wanted to do, did you start out thinking that you were going to be in the media? Because we all have these lives that I'm in.
I mean, you were a marine scientist.
I was a marine scientist. I became a trainee stockbroker that led into the media. Then I'm a financial journalist and a host for years. Now I started my own company. It's like it's
wow.
I never wanted to be in the media. I never wanted to be on TV. I just thought that would be the worst thing ever. People are looking at you. I don't want anybody to look at me. And I've done it now for 20 years.
She actually went into labour on TV.
Oh, I went into labour on air.
Oh, did you?
I did on radio with my middle son.
Yeah, strong women.
Yeah, still broadcasting.
Still broadcasting.
Yeah. I'm really interesting because I think I'm a rare breed, to be honest. I wanted to be a vet.
So did
I. And I am profoundly dyslexic, so that was never I mean, having said that, I have worked for organisations that help dyslexic kids, and I did meet this one woman who was so dyslexic and got herself through university to be a vet.
Oh my gosh!
I have no words for how impressive that is. But it became quite clear that was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, and both my parents were in the media. My father was the head of the media unit at Sydney University, and then my mother, she's done lots of things, but she was her kind of main thing. She was Professor of Media Studies at Griffith here in Brisbane, but she was also a member of the Australian Broadcasting Tribunal, which was the organisation back in the day that decided whether Alan Jones, Christopher Skase, Rupert Murdoch, Kerry Packer were fit and proper people to hold television licenses. So she was a fierce. So the media was kind of an option, I guess, in my world. And I got into ANU in Canberra and just thought, I can't study. And back when I started, you could take a cadetship or you could go to uni, whereas now you have to go to uni and then take the cadetship. So I went to 2WEB in Bourke. In far western New South Wales, and was a cadet journalist, worked and learnt really early on, even though Bourke's area, like actual, they go into Victoria, New South Wales, oh no, maybe not Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, and South Australia, I think. Anyway, they have a huge broadcast area, but the town is 3,500 people. So you go to the pub on a Friday night and you've said something someone doesn't like, they'll find you.
That's my God.
Wow. Great training ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great training ground for going, oh, this you've got to be accountable for this.
Yes.
Oops.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Be very careful.
Look someone in the eye.
But as then I went to bigger and bigger markets and broadcast to more and more people, there is still something very honest about having to remember that you are talking to an individual.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yep. But then you've got to deal with you're not looking someone in the eye at the pub, right? But you are getting, I'm sure, many, many emails. We love you, Robin, or we hate you, Robin, or
the
whatever.
Warriors.
You have to sort of switch off that part of yourself to a point, don't you? I mean, you can't.
I don't care what random people think about me.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't. It was funny. My youngest son has an American girlfriend who lives with us at the moment, and she was watching Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders.
Yes, we're into that new season.
Love it. The episode where the girls just had their first home or their first game, and the social media's attacking.
Yeah.
And she was saying to me, "How do you deal with that?" And I said, every time, and I mean every time, and we've done it 3 or 4 times, where someone has trolled me, our producers have potentially found them, and a couple of them are brave enough to come on air and talk to me. It's always about them. It's never about me.
Funny?
I've triggered something in them.
Yeah.
I had a stalker way back in the day.
You had a stalker?
A stalker who would send envelopes to my house with tissues crying, Robin's the crybaby and stuff. And when the police got involved, they ended up scaring him off, and that was fine. But it turned out that he was going through a nasty divorce, and his wife was a big fan of mine.
Oh,
and
wow.
so he was blaming
that.
It was like, I'm instilling in her these feminist ideals of never about you.
Not about
Never.
you.
Also,
it's never about you.
Also, really great that you're instilling feminist values into a woman that needs maybe some help in that time. So I'd be like, excellent. Keep your tissues away, but you're welcome, buddy.
Well, but it is hard. I mean, I remember when I was younger and I was on Sky News, and I got an email from someone who was doing finance. So I was the backup presenter for Koshi's finance show. He was away. I was a backup presenter. I would have been in my 20s, this blonde girl. And I got this email saying, what is this blonde girl doing on air? She doesn't know anything about finance, blah, blah, blah. Now, I was a stockbroker, so I did know finance, so, and the boss at the time, he took me into his office and he said, you would have seen this email. And I was like in tears. I was like, yeah, but this is really terrible. He said, if you cannot handle this is not the right job for you, because you are always going to get people that say things.
Haters going to hate.
Haters are going to hate. He then wrote an email and BCC'd me in it to this person, giving him all my credentials, and I don't appreciate this email. This is what Oriel's done, and this is why. She does actually know her shit, basically. And it made all the difference.
Of course, because you had a man in your corner dealing with another man on a peer level for someone who is trying to bully you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
But that was so hard. I mean, that was one email a very long time ago.
But social media now. Man.
It's social media. It's everywhere now. It's not just an email here and there.
You can't read it. You can't.
I tell you what, you'd have to be a tough nut now to choose to go into that life of influencing and all of that. I mean, that's an active choice people are making, and potentially I think maybe not making it wisely, with all the information in front of them to know what they're actually up against. Because I think a lot of influencers can go in thinking it's great, I'm going to get all this free shit and, put myself out there in my bikinis and, everything's going to be fine. And then, lots of mental health issues come out of those things. Yeah. It's very interesting. But I mean, you of all people, you've just stood the test of time, right? Like you have punched through. What's next? What's the future look like for you? Without, obviously saying you're going to quit your job on.
And it's interesting with radio because I genuinely thought it would be it. Like I had some conversations.
This is the thing. Mentally, you're thinking, well, this is it. I'm off, right?
Well, and also the state of the media at the moment, there just isn't work. And I had a couple of conversations with some people like the ABC and I thought, I'm not, my one gift in my whole career has been that let me walk away on my terms. It doesn't happen very often, and it may not. But, and I certainly didn't think it was going to last year. And I thought, okay, well, you've got a book coming out. And I think I put a lot of pressure on the book to be the destination. And what I've learned is it's not. It's the first step of, and what a book gives you is credibility, which is lovely because it takes a lot. It takes a lot, just the editing process and an autobiography. Although I don't think it's anything different from a novel, you pour your heart into this. And so I'm thinking, it'll do, one day I will sit in Oprah's tea room. My boys and I will sit on Drew Barrymore's couch. I will do a 3-month tour of America with Elizabeth Gilbert.
I love this.
I will. I know I will. Yeah. But I think I thought the book would be like, it'll do this, like Mel Robbins. No, if you talk to Mel Robbins, she started with nothing and was nobody.
Yeah. Yes, she
so
did.
It's just got to be the next. So I think I'm trying to work out the themes now. The feedback I'm getting from the book is that it's the things people really like are the honesty and the capacity to have conversations that people are frightened to have
in the public
eye. Yep. But I think there's a bigger challenge about grief and trauma. And, I would say that, grief equals love, trauma equals hope. And those things are not joined together in the current space. So if you look at any sort of trauma or grief podcast or anything around it, it's diabolical. Like you don't walk away from it feeling great. No. And I think trauma and grief are part of our lives, whether it's, and I use this and I probably shouldn't, Kate Campbell, I'd love to sit down with you, but there would have been grief for her at the London Olympics when she didn't win gold and everyone thought she was supposed to.
Yeah.
And she talks about not taking it seriously, like the forgiveness and the grief around that. They're the conversations we need to have because grief impacts everyone. You don't have to have someone die,
No.
but we don't have words around it, and we don't have rituals around it, and we don't have the ability. Like I used to, when I grew up in inner Western Sydney, you know, the Italian mamas would wear black if their partner died, and everyone knew. There was an understanding that that woman was going through some stuff. Western culture, Indigenous communities, absolutely, have sorry business. We don't.
No, we don't. It's like, get up, you've had 2 weeks off. Now
that's
put your
enough.
clothes on and off you go.
Deal with it.
Worse than that, everyone just gets really nervous.
Oh,
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do.
what to say.
Yeah,
Let me know if I can help you.
Right. And you know, part of there is a chapter in the book where I kind of go through, look, these are the things that help me. These are the conversations you can have. You don't have to.
No.
But if that gives you some insight that someone in your life is going through something, then just think about this, because people get scared by it.
So you want to help people. That's
I do.
What I'm hearing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think I have the
that.
capacity as a broadcaster to not be frightened of big conversations and to do it on a scale where I feel like I can just change the narrative a little bit.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do next? I'm working on some keynote speeches, which I've got to look at. And it was interesting. I spoke to a couple of booking agents, and they're like, oh, you know, what you've got to offer, you know, most of the keynotes are for men's groups. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I've lost 2 husbands, one from suicide, one from cancer. I've raised 3 young men. What I do have a lot to say to guys, but I need to couch it in a way that is, but if you want your message through, then you're going to have to talk to them in a way that I don't feel threatened.
Of course. And, you know, and they need to be open to listening to that from a woman. Yeah. You know, and there will be men in those rooms that will be.
Yeah,
there absolutely will be.
And also,
but you've got to break that barrier to actually get into those.
Well, I've got to be booked first.
Yeah,
I've got to write the keynote. I've got to be booked to deliver it. And then hopefully, and I am, as I said, I'm very spiritual. I believe that the right people come to you when you need. And I do and when I say about a 3-month American book tour with Elizabeth Gilbert, is because she has her last book, Close to the River, Down to the River, is all about her losing her female partner. You know, this is the Eat, Pray, Love woman who created a whole culture, pop culture around being adventurous, traveling the world, falling in love with exotic men, and then becomes in a gay relationship with her best friend who then dies. You know, and so she and I have some quite interesting, and she's done it very differently to me, but I feel like us together have this powerful message, and I just need to work mine up a bit more so that I can do that. So that I can go on a book tour with her. I just feel really strongly that we have conversations that can be had that other people need to have, because the world is screaming out in grief. The planet is screaming out. We need to just take some steps back and look at who we are in here and sit with that for a bit.
And you know what? I truly believe, and I know that, you know, we've talked about this before. I love our age. I love being older. I mean, you can always say, I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger. But I love the power that gives me and myself, not over anybody else, but I know what I feel, and I know what's right, and I know what's wrong, and I know, you know, when I'm comfortable sharing, when I'm not, you know, all of those things that you obviously have in droves as well. You can go out there and speak with confidence and believing in yourself and not doubting yourself. You know, I mean, that's not to say you're not going to have moments of doubt. We all do.
But women over 50 are becoming and then get into 60 and 70 and 80, become more and more invisible. And you know, there are some wonderful female leaders in the US, particularly Brene Brown, you know, Elizabeth Gilbert. Those people are extraordinary. Michelle Obama, and in Australia there are some extraordinary media women. But where is that push? And I think it's hard. I think you have to have a very thick skin. And if surviving, you know, that 10-year period of losing 2 husbands and raising my boys through that, it's the reality that life can be hard, but your choice is you either let it beat you or you pick yourself up and keep going. And I think that we have to empower more women to feel like they have the capacity to keep going. And there's no coincidence that the highest rate of homelessness in our society is women over 55.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It's horrendous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's absolutely
because I think, and I've been, we could do a whole other podcast on online dating.
Yeah.
No,
online dating.
Because I think there is this whole thing about, and I know, I'm 57, that my generation, most girls in my high school left in grade 10 to be a hairdresser or a secretary. Some went on to nursing. But a lot of it was the idea that they would go and get married and be a wonderful stay-at-home mum. And then the world's changed, and a lot of these women don't have their own money, don't have, and just weren't prepared.
Yep.
And that is one of the other themes in my book and can I just say, I am so lucky and grateful that I have a good job that earns me good money. I've worked bloody hard for it.
Oh yeah,
but I do.
Is there luck, or
but
is
I
it
do.
bloody hard work?
But I do, and that gives me some privilege of choice.
Yeah.
But I also was raised by a single mother who said you must have your own money.
Yes.
And I feel like that is still a message. Like, we all believe in the romance of getting married and raising our children, but I think you also have to be realistic that it potentially won't turn out the way you've dreamt.
Oh, 100%.
So have something.
Have something to
I know we're like just about out of time.
Yeah.
But you did bring up online dating. Have you had some wonderful experiences?
18 months of it, mate.
No winners.
No. Yeah, it's another book, I reckon.
What's the funniest? What's the one that comes to mind as the weirdest?
There's a couple of those. I think the thing for me that was the saddest is that being a woman of my age in this country, where it became quite clear that a lot of guys were intimidated that I didn't need anything from them. I wanted something from them. I wanted love, respect, and having a profile is another level to that.
Yeah.
And I just don't think there are a lot of, and again, we could go into generationals and how they were raised and whatever, but that we are still in that. I'm still in that transitional generation where there's men are supposed to make the most money. Men are, and it's interesting. I think what would be fascinating from your children's perspective is I think where it's going to get really tricky for your kids is they're so fierce. Girls are, and they're amazing. And boys are really aware. Like the whole idea, which during our childhood, if you were gay, like who cares? Like transgender, that is like nothing now.
That's nothing.
Right?
No.
But they don't, gross generalization, but as a generation, they are frightened to step out of their space. So they'll be fierce in their groups, but ask them to go and knock on the next door neighbour's door to retrieve a ball. That's terrifying.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
And so therefore, how do you explain to someone, how do you engage outside of your comfort zone into a greater world? Because if you've got your tribe, that's fine. And most hopefully kids do. But what happens when that breaks down and you don't have the resilience to step into a new world? When I finished school, a lot of kids went overseas, took a gap year. I don't do that now. My boys were probably the only ones of their entire friendship group. I put them on a plane and sent them to Europe and said, go.
Yeah. Just go, explore.
And they were like, and kids were like, and even now, like a lot of them would go, oh, what would, no.
What do I do?
What do I do?
And, for the first 24 hours, absolutely.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but then, oh my God, this is so cool. We're learning so much.
Yeah.
We're meeting people.
But it's that step of these younger kids, because of the phone and everything's obtainable. You don't have to go to an encyclopedia to look up a fact.
Yeah.
You don't have to have, progressive and curious thinking.
Yeah.
You can just scroll. So what happens when the world doesn't give you the ability to scroll? What happens when emotions are so big And that's why the mental health crisis is, I think, is real in younger generations. They don't have the emotional resilience because if they can't find the answer on their phone and it feels something, oh my Lord.
How are we going to cope? What's the answer?
Right. Yeah. How are we going to cope?
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's really good to take on board. I'm going to be thinking about that a lot now.
So, Robin, we're going to come back to you in 6 months and say, come to us with the answer.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so interesting. So much so many topics.
We think you're amazing.
Oh,
we really
thanks.
do. We really do. That vulnerability, honestly, it scares me. It's so brave. And I love it because what we want from what we're doing here is we want our listeners to hear the good, but we also want our listeners to hear the bad, to go, you can do this. Like, you can still make
100%.
it, you know, and hearing real stories from real people is, I think, certainly from my perspective, is what's going to do it for someone who's listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I would, if you're interested in the book from listening to this, I would say to you, go and listen to the audiobook, because to hear the boys read their chapters and me reading my chapter, and look, our story, one of my kids went right off the rails. A lot of things happened. This is not a Pollyanna story it's a story of raw grief and trauma and anger. And, you know, you started off by talking about resilience. The thing I'd say about my parenting is that actually I couldn't be in all places at all times. And the moments, particularly my middle son, Lou, made choices around walking away from all these terrible things that were happening to him, was he decided. Yeah. And I wasn't there. And not only that, I didn't know. So what are we giving our children now that gives them the capacity to have that free thinking and make their own choices? And he was 14, 15, 16. And there were moments in his life where he had a sliding door. And I tell you, every teenager will.
Yeah.
We all do.
And your kids will.
100%. And we have to tool them up with the skills, exactly what you said, to have
terrifying.
those. It is so terrifying.
But why? It's not. It's called adolescence.
Yeah.
We're frightened.
Yeah.
They're not.
They're not frightened at all.
And why are you frightened?
Because of the choices I made when I was an adolescent. I don't want them to do that.
Yeah, but you're here. You got through it. That's what you got to think.
I did.
And did you feel frightened at the time when you were making decisions? Hell no.
No, I just went, let's do that.
I look back and I think, how the hell did I get from that party out in the middle of nowhere to home? How did I do that? Can't remember.
Yeah, because our parents instilled in us the belief that we could. And I think if there was anything that happened in my single parenting, is that I had to give them the belief they could, because I couldn't do it all.
Yeah.
So my children were gifted with a lot of responsibility. Yeah. And look, don't get me wrong, there were times where that went way wrong. But also they knew I trusted them. Yeah. I loved them. And if things went wrong, we'd work it out.
Yeah.
And I think you going, but I'm so frightened. I'm like, yeah, you're frightened.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, and don't put it on them, right?
Just instill in them the ability to have critical thinking. Yeah. It's frightening, man. Yeah. It is. But I didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And she can say it now on the other side.
Yeah, right?
And they've all survived.
Yeah, but
it wasn't a guarantee at all. And I don't take that lightly.
And to your point about your book, yes, it is a heavy, there are lots of heavy topics in it. But there's also so much love, and there's so much good, and there's so much stuff that you just go, oh my gosh, like how and what, and they made it through it. So it's not, I don't want anybody to think don't buy it because you're going to be crying the whole time. No. I certainly cried.
It's a love story.
It is, but it's a love. It's just very, it's an amazing book. It was amazing. I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in 2 days in Byron Bay on the beach, you know, but it was, so don't think about it as being a sad story. It's I would never have published it if I thought people would walk away from it going, that's so heavy. No,
it's not. It's a love story it's a love story from my children to their father. It's a love story for me to Sean, who was my husband who died of cancer. And then it's a love story for the boys and I. Absolutely, and their love of me and our journey, you know. And my boys are so fiercely protective of me. And that wasn't a given either, believe me.
And so beautiful to see. And they were really close, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very close.
Boys.
They lived together. They went overseas together,
Yeah.
and then they came back and lived together in a house in Barden, and that house is only just broken up. They were together for 3 and a bit years.
See, to me, that is the win.
Yeah.
That is the win. If you have your kids having each other's back through life, I mean, I honestly think that's number one in parenting, because we won't be here. We won't be here for them long
And
term.
also, it's none of your business.
It isn't. Their
Like,
relationship.
what goes on tour stays on
Yes.
tour. What they don't tell mum, it's none of my business.
Yes, I love
it's
that.
probably
I hate
that
it.
way.
I freaking hate it. And I'll try each of them to try and And they're like, no, mum,
No,
fire off.
sorry.
No, you're not knowing.
No.
Oh, well, thank
Anyway,
you so
I
much.
talk way too much.
No, it's beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. Amazing. That was so
We need to
amazing.
scratch the surface.
I know. We'll get you back next year once you've gone through your tour, and we'll get you back and hear about that.
Ask about Elizabeth Gilbert and
exactly.
being in Oprah's tea room.
Exactly.
Yes, we'll talk all that.
Yes. See, we're putting it out there. But thank you so much for coming on. It was fabulous. Loved it. I all hope that you all loved it too. And yeah, thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin Bailey. And we will link the book and we'll pop it all in our show notes.
Yes, we will. We will.
Thanks so much.
Bye.